Welcome to the Regular Catholic Guy Show with your host, Jeff Garrett, a podcast for regular Catholic men who want to get into the trenches to learn about their Catholic faith, marriage, raising kids, and other Catholic guy stuff. Enjoy the show. My guest today is Michael O'Neill. Michael is award-winning author, EWTN host, and creator of the popular miracle tracking website, miraclehunter.com. We're going to be discussing his new book, Science and the Miraculous, How the Church Investigates the Supernatural. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Hey, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm looking forward to this. Tell me, first of all, how did you get the title, The Miracle Hunter?
Well, it is a good question, and maybe it's the best thing that ever happened because it's a memorable name, but it goes back to sort of my time at Stanford University, where I studied as a mechanical engineer, and that's pretty much around graduation what I was gearing to spend my life doing, mechanical engineering and design. But I had this great interest in miracles that was probably given to me through my mother and through some side research that I was beginning to do. And I got some advice from Condoleezza Rice, who was the vice provost at Stanford at the time. And she said, whatever you're going to do in life, of course, go on to become an engineer, go on to what you studied, but make sure you become an expert in something. So that was her big advice. So she said that she was an expert in one tiny aspect of Czechoslovakian military history in 1 year, one little aspect of it. And that element she knew more than anyone else in the whole world. She was sure of it. So she said, find your sliver of the universe and own it. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting, So I said, what would I like to be an expert in? And I kind of had harkened back to my studies on Our Lady of Guadalupe for a archaeology paper and sort of my own personal devotion growing up. And I was interested in miracles. So at that time, I registered the website miraclehunter.com. And I said, I'm just going to quietly fill this website up with all the miracle stories that I can investigate. So that's kind of how the genesis of the name Miracle Hunter.
How does mechanical engineering tie into miracle hunting?
Yeah, I mean, you might say it doesn't have any connection at all. But for people who follow my work, they know that I try to look at miracles in a novel way, an interesting way. I think that miracles are something that perhaps are ethereal or unable to be understood. There's something from God in the heavens that we'll never understand in a very practical way. But people go to my website, miraclehunter.com. They know I've cataloged 2,500 Marian apparitions throughout history, and I try to look at the data and analyze it and compare and contrast. And I try to approach these with an engineering mindset as much as is possible. So I'm definitely a data-driven guy.
What are some of the different types of miracles?
So as detailed in my book, Science and the Miraculous, I go through some of the major types of Catholic miracles, and we all have miracles of one type or another. I think, when our favorite team wins an improbable football game, we call that a miracle. Or when we, find our wallet or our wedding ring, and when we're sure that we had lost it, or any of these improbable circumstances in life, when we get 5 green lights in a row when we're running late, maybe we call these things miracles. But the types of miracles that the Catholic Church looks at belong to just a small selection of things. So we talk about the healing miracles like it found at Lourdes or in canonization causes, or we look at Marian apparitions like Fatima or Guadalupe or Lourdes. These are these great instances where Mary walked amongst us and the Catholic Church has said this is worthy of belief. Or we look at cases of incorruptible saints, those saints whose bodies have not decayed in a way that we might expect through our human experience. Or we talk about weeping statues, those occasions where an icon or a statue weeps tears of oil or blood or water. And those are validated as being without explanation. And then we also have cases like Eucharistic miracles where true flesh and true blood are made manifest on a consecrated host. And science can validate that it is in fact both bread and flesh integrated on the same host. And this has happened 100 times or so in history. And these are the main categories that the church looks at of miracles, and where they apply science when possible to validate that something outside the ordinary is going on.
When does the Catholic Church look at a miracle or a potential miracle, investigate it?
Well, believe it or not, the only places where the Catholic Church has a formal process for investigation involves the canonization of saints. So the Congregation for the Causes of Saints in the Vatican, they have a series of 4 stages in the canonization process. The first being servant of God. That's where the person is out of the gates and they begin to look into their life of heroic virtue. Once they've uncovered every rug, opened every closet, and found every detail of the person's life, examined all the writings, all the times they've spoken, all the witnesses that are possible, they may say the person has lived a life of heroic virtue and call them venerable. And at that point, they will look for miracles. So miracles work through the singular intercession of that potential saint. So, of course, we have this idea that, maybe the church will just canonize somebody based on the Pope's prerogative or his opinion, and they do that sometimes. But they look at these cases of singular intercession where there's somebody prays to just one saint, and their family prays to just that one saint, and everyone they know prays to just that one saint, and something remarkable happens, and a miracle that's instantaneous, complete, and lasting, and is a cure of a serious disease not liable to go on its own, and there's no medical treatment that's applied to the cure. In these very rare cases, those are the ones that elevate a person from venerable to blessed, and then a subsequent miracle will push them ahead to become a saint. So those are the only places in the church, in addition to Lourdes, where that same criteria is used, where miracles are actually validated in a very specific way. When there's a Marian apparition or a Eucharistic miracle or a weeping statue, the local bishop, it's up to him to initiate the investigation. What
are some of your favorite miracles?
I always have to turn to Our Lady of Guadalupe. That will always be my favorite. I think that, growing up, my grandmother had sort of a reversion back to the Catholic faith through the intercession of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So it's always had a very personal point of connection for me. And then I spent a lot of time at the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful shrines in all of the United States, and that's dedicated to Our Lady of Guadalupe. And I think that when you mix all the fantastic elements together, you have a saint who converted to Catholicism, and then in the 10 years afterwards, you have 9 million Aztecs converting when he sees this vision of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the tilma has emblazoned this image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is still in existence today. It's one of these chiropoita, or not made by human hands, images that we have. Science cannot explain why that image is there even today. And so I think it's an absolutely amazing miracle, and it's converted so many people. And she's a great symbol for all of Mexico and all of North America, really. So Our Lady of Guadalupe will always be my favorite miracle story.
You can still go today to Mexico City and you can see that particular miracle.
Absolutely. It's a lasting miracle. And, I think that Marian apparitions have always caught a lot of attention for me. I have a great devotion to Mary. And the website, miraclehunter.com, my website, catalogs so many of these cases. And I try my best to, analyze what the church has been looking at, all the documentation, all the data, all the judgments that the church has made, both positive and negative towards Marian apparitions. And I think it's kind of interesting because the Vatican does not actually have a website or a section on their website that shows you all the approved Marian apparitions. They don't actually have a place where they say these are the ones to believe in, these are the ones to ignore, and these are the maybes. There's no such website at the Vatican. So I try to fill that void with my website and provide all the information for people who are curious.
Are there any church-approved miracles in the United States?
So there are approximately 30 Vatican-recognized miracles in the United States, and those all relate to canonization causes. The first happened in the 1860s, was a miracle for a canonization cause. St. Peter Claver was the very first in the United States. And then you have miracles all the time that happen, such as John Henry Newman, that miracle for Melissa Villalobos, where she had a cure. She was bleeding out from a pregnancy that was going awry, and that was the miracle that was used for his canonization. So approximately 30 times has there been a miracle in the United States that's been validated by Rome. other miracles, you might say, there's a weeping statue in Hobbs, New Mexico, which happened approximately 2 or 3 years ago. I lose track with COVID. 2 years seems to have gone by quickly. But a few years ago, there was this weeping statue in New Mexico of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And the Bishop of Las Cruces, the local bishop there, investigated it, and he found that there was no explanation for those tears that were emanating from that bronze statue. And, that's considered to be miraculous. The Vatican's never commented, of course. And then you have a case like Our Lady of Good Help in Champion, Wisconsin in 1859. Belgian farm worker Adele Bryce had those visions of the Virgin Mary where she saw her 3 times, and those were validated on December 8th, 2010 by Bishop David L. Ricken of the Diocese of Green Bay. And he said that constate supernaturalitate, in Latin, it is established as supernatural. It's worthy of belief. That is the one and only case in the history of the United States where we have an approved Marian apparition in the United States. And what's interesting is that according to the 1978 document, the Norms of the Congregation for Proceeding and Judging Alleged Private Revelations and Apparitions, the church says that the local bishop is the first and primary authority when it comes to investigating Marian apparitions. The Vatican doesn't have to comment at all. And true enough, the Vatican has never commented on Our Lady of Good Help. So it stands as a fully approved Marian apparition because of the local bishop's judgment. But Pope Francis has never made any kind of gestures or recognition which says this is a true apparition. So that's the only case in the history of the United States.
What are some of the more amazing miracles that you've covered?
Well,
they're all amazing, but
they're all amazing in their own way, and I think they all have complications in their own way. But as far as miracles that I've seen with my own 2 eyes, probably the one that will stick out is when I investigated a stigmatic some years ago, and to see that with my own 2 eyes, I don't want to say I had dreams or nightmares about it, but it stayed in my mind because that was a dramatic thing to see somebody bleeding the wounds of Christ without any kind of or spontaneously bleeding. And so, believe it or not, in my line of work, whether I'm seeing a stigmatic or I'm talking to a Marian visionary or seeing a weeping statue, I can't help but not believe. The things that I've seen are incredible. So all this stuff really helps my faith in a big way.
You have a couple different programs on EWTN too, right?
Absolutely. So I think that one of the fun parts of my job is my life is split between researching and investigating miracles, and the other aspect is talking to people about miracles. So whether that's giving talks at parishes, I give 20 talks or so every year. I travel around the United States and talk at conferences and parishes and share what I've seen and what I've learned. But I've also had the great blessing to do a radio show on EWTN radio. And also I have 2 programs on EWTN television. One is called They Might Be Saints. It's about Americans on the path to sainthood and the search for canonization miracles. And that airs at 4 p.m. Central Time on Fridays. And we've done 16 episodes so far. And this summer we'll be debuting a new episode on Father Augustus Tolton. And the news reports this past week said that they have some miracles that they're investigating for him. So that's very exciting as well. And then my Saturday show at 5 p.m. Central Time is called Explore with the Miracle Hunter. And that's my travel show. And I travel the world with my film crew, and we look at all the incredible places of miracles around the world. And it's been a great blessing. We've just finished airing season 1. Season 2 will air in September, and we've got season 3 filmed already. And I'll be headed to England and Ireland next month to film some new episodes as well. So it's been a great blessing to tell the stories of miracles that have graced all these places around the world.
What miracles are you going to hunt in England and Ireland?
So for the show Explore with the Miracle Hunter, we look at a lot of these classic locations of miracles, some being Our Lady of Mount Carmel. For example, you may not have known that's in England with St. Simon Stock, or Our Lady of Walsingham, the apparitions where Mary reveals the dimensions of her house to a wealthy English woman. We'll be going to Ireland to Our Lady of Knock as well, one of the great Marian apparitions, especially for the Irish amongst us. We like that one. So there's a handful of miracle stories in Ireland that we'll be examining, and we'll be doing these half-hour episodes coming up next year.
So, Michael, what else would you like to share with the regular Catholic guys out there?
Well, I think that, it's miracles are important, and they're not important all in the same breath, because I think Jesus encourages us not to go chasing miracles, and we should follow the advice of our Lord on that one. We have to focus on the words and works of Jesus Christ as found in the Gospels and given to us by our Catholic Church. That's the centrality of our faith. That's where our focus should be. But I think it would be a mistake to ignore miracles altogether. That being said, I think that there are people out there who are really hopped up about miracles and really excited, and maybe I appear to be one of those people, calling myself the miracle hunter and everything else. But miracles can be a point of inspiration for us. I think they can really bring us closer to Christ. They can energize our faith when we're feeling doubtful, when we're feeling weak. I think miracles can be exciting. So we should view miracles as what they're intended for. But it's important to remember the Church's stance on miracles. For example, we get excited about the miracles of Lourdes, those 70 cases of inexplicable healings and the thousands of others that have been validated as remarkable. And we talk about these cases and we say, well, maybe science doesn't know what it doesn't know yet. And in those cases, we can say, well, the miracles found in the Gospels are the important ones, but these others, they aren't that important. So if you don't want to believe in the miracles of Lourdes, you can still be a good Catholic. And you could say, well, let's wait for science to shake out on some of these. Or you could say that at Guadalupe, you could say, I bet that's just a painting, that's not really the divine brush of God, creating that image. If you have that opinion, send me an email. I'll try to convince you otherwise, because I think it's absolutely amazing. But you could say that and you could still be a good Catholic. Or, when it comes to the miracles of Fatima, the apparitions and the miracles of the sun, you could say the children were just making it up. They just wanted some extra attention. You could say that and you could still be a good Catholic. So, the Church says that when it comes to modern miracles, embrace them if they help you, ignore them if you want, but really, you don't really have to do anything with them. So I think it's a pretty good position that the Church takes, and that's pretty important when people try to figure out what they're supposed to do with miracles anyway.
Well, for me personally, when I saw the first incorruptibles that I saw, and when I saw some of the Eucharistic miracles in person, that was pretty changing in my faith, just a really more strong belief in the Eucharist. And it's like, okay, I can see this. It just made it way much easier for me to believe and to hold that belief.
I agree. I think that miracles can really give us that boost, when we're feeling weak, when we're feeling doubtful, when we need that tangible something. We're human. We all want something that we can see and touch and experience. And so miracles provide that for us. It's God's way of just cracking the veil a little bit and letting us see the reality, or that supernatural reality. So I think miracles can really provide a boost for a lot of people.
Michael, where's the best place to get Science and the Miraculous?
So people can find this book called Science and the Miraculous, How the Catholic Church Investigates the Supernatural, from Tan Books. So you can go to tanbooks.com. But anywhere Catholic books are sold, including Amazon, you can find the book anywhere. And I hope people enjoy this book because it shows that the Church takes miracles seriously and uses science when possible. And I try to go through all the places where science can be applied to all these various miracle types we were discussing. And it's pretty impressive to see that the Church will use science as much as possible to validate and rule out miracles when possible.
Thank you, Michael. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
All right. God bless. If you enjoyed the show, share it with your friends and relatives. Go to Apple Podcasts, give us a review and a rating. It'll help us to reach more men. We also have a Facebook and Instagram page, Regular Catholic Guy. God bless.